Hey, brown babes. Akila here. Just wanted to let you know that this week's episode is going to be a favorite. We call these the classic Well Honestly episodes. It is a repeat, but I think it's chock full of information for you all to absorb again. We will see you in new episodes in the future. Bye.
Hey, brown beauties. Welcome to Well Honestly, the podcast. I'm Andretta.
And I'm Akila, and we're your hosts. Well, honestly, what is this podcast all about?
Our show is about women doing better tomorrow than they are doing today, so we can take control of our health. We give you real talk and educate you on all things related to health, mental wellness, and nutrition for brown women all over the world. Once you know what choices you have, you can do better, because we know the struggle is real.
We invite you to come as you are, but leave inspired to become your best healthy self. So let's get started.
Hey. That wasn't planned at all. Promise.
So we out here talking to our brown babes, right? Or do we want to call them brown warriors? But something tells me I
don't like that.
You don't like warriors?
I don't like warrior.
I'm a warrior. I don't care what you say.
Okay. All right.
Anyway.
So what is today's episode about, Andretta?
We went back to our private Facebook group. And if you're not a part of that group, you need to go in there and find us under brownwomenwellness.com. Brown Women Wellness. And you'll find us in there. But yeah.
You can go to brownwomenwellness.com.
You can for sure. But that group, it's getting, by the way, Keela, they're getting a little bit more chat. They're getting chatty in there.
Really?
Yeah, they getting real.
That's been my thing.
I know. It's just like
I love it.
They sit back and read all the posts, but they weren't saying anything. But people are starting to speak up, speak out, ask questions.
You know what?
Yes.
So I'll say, and just in case you guys don't know, so my mom, she handles the Facebook group primarily, and I handle the Instagram primarily. It naturally just kind of happened that way because she's the one that started the Facebook group first. And also she's very active on Facebook. I personally can't stand Facebook, but Instagram
True
is
millennial
my jam.
Talking. True millennial.
I know, right?
Yes.
Well, if I'm going to get real millennial on you, I remember back in the day, 2005 or 2004 to be exact, when Facebook first started. And I was part of the first wave because you had to be in college in order to actually be on Facebook. And you had to be invited. Like your college had to be on Facebook first. Exactly. So I was there from the beginning. And I think that's why I don't like Facebook now, is because
we took over.
Changed.
Yeah, we took over.
The old folks took over. And y'all took over with shenanigans and foolishness.
It is so crazy because I see people, but I'll tell you the good thing about it. I see people on there that I have not seen in years. And
I don't want to see none of them.
That's why I think the old people took over, because we like to stay in touch with, it's a great way to stay in touch with family and friends. So,
it is.
But I know you millennials think we're just.
We've been there, done that on Facebook, and I've moved on to greener pastures, which is that good old Instagram.
Well, I get it. I get it. But
I love that they're talking on our group.
They are talking. They're asking questions. So today I thought we'd do another episode answering some of these questions that they always have. And Akila, how you doing otherwise?
I'm doing pretty good. I am just enjoying this good old Texas weather. Still, I am getting acclimated with my surroundings. It's a lot of newness in my life, and I am just taking my time and savoring it. How about you, Andretta?
I'm doing fantastic. We still have the snow on the ground. So by the time this episode's air, I hope that the snow is gone. I'm hoping like crazy that it goes away, but it's still, we're still in the winter months, so it is what it is. Mm-hmm. So anyway, breaking news. What is the breaking news for today?
I feel like we should have some type of insert, like a some type of music for the breaking news, like like remember back in the day when stuff used to break on
So you
on
want
the TV.
Okay, so we can, Brian, right here when we talk breaking news, you can find some music that we have and stick in there if you want to. If he wants to, I know what you mean. I know what you mean about that.
Yeah, it's funny. That's just funny to me.
Yeah, you've been watching old TV shows. So, okay.
I'm old now.
But breaking news story for today. What I found was something very, very interesting. This could be considered breaking news or it could be considered a health tip, actually. But I want to talk about baking soda. I know, right? I know, right? Baking soda. So
I will say, for us millennials who heard that, it's a certain song that comes to your head. Baking soda. I got baking soda.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
Don't worry about that.
Never heard of that. That's why you laugh so hard.
Yes.
Well, when I think baking soda, I think about all the things baking soda can do for you. Okay. So, so in case you don't know what baking soda is, it's sodium bicarbonate. Okay. And it's a natural mineral, so it kind of reacts. Baking soda is one of those things that could be acid or alkaline, but it's more on the alkaline side. So it's so many ways to use it. So I saw this article about how it can regulate your pH levels in your body. So I was like, oh, pH levels, everybody's always talking about alkaline this, alkaline that, right? And I said, okay, so something as simple as some baking soda can make you alkaline. Well, see, here's how I know about baking soda. I use it for a cleaning aid. Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
We clean our stoves out with it. We polish our silver with it. We even make deodorant and toothpaste out of it. We refresh our refrigerator with it. Also, don't forget, if you got a fire, you can always throw some baking soda on your fire. You got a grease fire, that's one of the things. And so that's how I looked at baking soda. But guess what I found out? It also can be a tonic. It can actually boost your energy. So you know how sometimes when you're feeling down and you feel like, you need a little energy and you can't push yourself no more and you just say, oh, I just need something. Okay. Usually, you don't want to, that's something instead of a glass of wine.
I don't know about that. I'm going to always drink my wine now.
Well, listen, this is something that's going to it's going to boost your performance. It's actually good even for athletes to use to perform, believe it or not. So here's something I did, and I tried this the other morning, and it actually worked. So what I did was I took some sea salt, I took a little baking soda, some coconut water, lemon juice, and raw honey. Honey, I thought I was going to fly through the sky.
Wait a minute. So you took sea salt,
baking soda, about a fourth teaspoon of that. I took about 3 or 4 cups of coconut water. I put some lemon juice in it and added some raw honey. Now,
and it gave you an energy boost. I
mixed all this up together. I shook it up really well. And believe it or not, I've been keeping it in my refrigerator, taking a little bit every day because it gave me such a boost of energy. So what I found out was that coconut water has high levels of minerals in it. So we know your B vitamins and all those things. And then also we know it has a high in potassium and all that stuff. And then the raw honey was stimulating your immune system. And so when you mix all this stuff up together and we'll put a little baking soda in there, honey, you had some energy. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna put that, and I'm gonna put that little recipe in our show notes so people, if they want to try it, they can.
I also think you meant coffee and not wine. Now that I'm hearing you, I hope people are not drinking wine to get energy early in the morning. I think you meant coffee.
It was a joke. It was a joke when I said wine. So yeah, I know it should be coffee for sure.
I don't be drinking no wine at no 10 a.m.
They do in Europe. Okay.
Well.
But we're not in Europe. And I'm gonna tell you another surprising use I found out for baking soda for acid reflux.
Yes, okay. I'm personally aware of that.
Yeah, you just take about 2 tablespoons and mix it with some apple cider vinegar and some water. It will neutralize that internal fire you have inside you. It's going to foam up now. So you got to wait for it to slow down. It's going to foam a little bit, but it is great for acid reflux.
I've always what's the difference between baking soda and baking powder?
Okay. That's a good question. So don't reach for the baking powder.
Okay. Let's make that clear.
Okay. Because baking powder is just what it is. Baking powder is used for actual baking. Okay, you bake with it. Baking soda is the one that contains the sodium bicarbonate that you want. So there's a huge difference. If you try to use baking powder to do some of the things I just told you, it will not work. You may bake yourself, but you will not get the benefits that I talked about. But I even take a pinch of baking soda and put it in my coffee, in my black coffee in the morning. And I'm gonna tell you why it's a pinch. You can't even tell it's there. But you know why I do it? Because coffee can be so acidic. It actually alkalines the coffee, which means I'm alkalining my body.
Okay. I think you're taking baking soda.
Okay. All right. I'm over the baking soda. All right. We're over baking soda. But anyway, we'll put some links there. We'll talk about that. We're going to take
me at the coffee, Andretta. I
see. But somebody out there knows what I'm talking about, okay? And if they want to try it, I promise you, it won't hurt you. All right.
Ew.
It doesn't. You don't taste it at all.
I like my coffee with almond milk cream only.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Well, all right. So welcome to your almond milk cream. That's fine. All right. We're going to take a break. Then we're going to come back and we're going to go to the first question and we'll get started.
All right.
Okay. Feeling stressed? Need to calm your anxiety naturally? Be Well CBD tea can do just that. Hand-picked organic herbs infused with CBD will relax you and calm those nerves. Go to brownwomenwellness.com and get your 15% off. Use this code WellHonest15. Okay, we're back. All right, Keela, you want to hear the first question?
I do.
Okay, this is an interesting question because it took me way back because, you're my only child. So that's the only experience I ever had with this is from my own, having you.
Child,
so
that
anyway,
was about a
this
smooth
question,
34 years ago, honey.
Yes, but I remember this. This question is from a new mommy and it's about breastfeeding. So she wanted some healthy tips. She was being challenged a little bit. Talking about, lactating all the time and feeling like a human cow and running home and trying to make sure she had enough milk for her baby. And she just wanted some healthy tips. So what I did was I went to this blogger and the author of Real Food for Pregnancy. Her name is Lily Nichols, and we're going to include her information in the show notes. So I went to her because she's a nutritionist that talks a lot about breastfeeding and what's the proper way, what all the things related. So here's my own experience about breastfeeding. Keela, are you ready?
I'm ready to be embarrassed. Go ahead on.
Right. That's why I had to ask you if you were ready.
I'm ready.
I actually breastfed Akila until she had teeth.
Oh my God.
Yes, I did.
I don't know.
You were past 2 years old.
What?
Yes, I did. Because I had read how new mommies do. We read all these books and all they talked about was if you want a healthy baby, you got to breastfeed and breastfeed for as long as you want, blah, 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 blah. Of course, I took that to heart because I wanted a healthy baby.
Girl.
And I'll never forget this. I worked on 87th Street for Johnson Products at the time and I lived in Indiana. And we didn't have all the fancy gadgets they have now for breastfeeding. I see women walking around now with the pumps hanging off their nipples and all kind of things, to get their milk. And I mean, we didn't have all those fancy gadgets. We had to pump it into a bottle and dump it and then go to work. I'll never forget a lunch hour though. I would have to run home to breastfeed you for lunch. Okay, then run back to work, get off work at 5:00, race home, breastfeed you again. I breastfed you physically, not through a bottle, 3 times a day.
You didn't pump?
I pump some, but sometimes when you pump, you don't, we didn't have all these fancy gadgets they got now. You didn't get enough.
Oh, that's true.
And one of the things that new mommies worry about is, are they giving their babies enough milk? It just seems like you don't know if you say, are they getting enough? You're not really sure. So, but let's talk about why breastfeeding is so important. First,
I just want to say real quick, I do not have children. And so you might hear me being quiet, guys. I'm going to chime in from the perspective of someone who does not have kids. So if I sound naive, now, I mean, nieces and nephews, that's one thing, but I have not physically given birth or breastfed or did anything with a child. So excuse my naivete. But I will be asking questions. Continue, Andrea.
And that will change one day. Okay. And so.
All right. That's a whole nother podcast, by the way. That's a whole nother podcast.
I know, right? Okay. So what I have learned from my functional nutrition school about babies who are breastfed versus non-breastfed babies is that breast milk sets the stage for a healthy baby's gut. We back to that gut. Everything is about the gut. Healthy gut, healthy life. Okay? So breast milk will actually set the stage for a baby's healthy gut. And it's designed for the baby, produced by the mom. The mom is the producer, the baby is on the other end. Because breast milk contains all those nutrients, So you got to imagine if the mom has a healthy diet, the baby will be healthy as well. Because breast milk is filled with a lot of healthy fats and the vitamins. And trust me, the formula companies have been trying to duplicate breast milk. They never will. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But I don't see how that's even possible.
Oh, but they try. If you look at the commercials, they'll have you thinking that formula milk is just as good as breast milk. But it's not. And so formula milk can actually shift the whole baby's microbiome, which is in the gut. So you want to breastfeed. So, but on the other hand, the mamas can also pass the bad things over to babies through breast milk too. They don't talk about that as much because we have a lot of environmental toxins out here. Like a lot of people don't understand cooking with nonstick, those nonstick pans that are out there. And I mean, it's so convenient to have a nonstick pan. I mean, come on, when you cook something for it not to stick, I mean, that's what everybody wants. But that Teflon that's on those nonstick pans actually contain poisons. And those things can leach into your breast milk. Okay, so you have to be careful with that. And plastic. So you got to make good choices when you're breastfeeding. So, and the other benefit, of course, of breastfeeding is it's a special bond between the mom, and the baby. So that's why breastfeeding is so, so important. So you nourish the mom, you nourish the baby. And so one of the things that it was asked was, well, what can we do to keep lactating is what it's called. Okay. Do you know that they have lactated nurses? I know.
Yes, I've heard of that.
Yes.
That's actually very popular.
Yeah, they have people
lactating nurses.
Yes, they come around and they help you with your production. Now, we didn't have nothing like that back in my day. You either did it or you didn't. Okay. But now they actually have people that's how important though breastfeeding is. And people are starting to understand, a healthy baby or a healthy child who turns into a healthy adult.
I'll tell you something else that I found out.
Yes.
They actually have companies where they will deliver other people's milk to you if you can't breastfeed or if you can't lactate.
Now, I hadn't seen that one.
So they freeze it. So there's all this rigmarole about how they choose the mother and the standard third. But women who have overproduction of milk can pump. They freeze it, and then the company takes it and they'll send it to different women who, they want to breastfeed, but they just can't lactate. That's a thing.
That's very interesting. So that's another a stream of revenue.
Absolutely.
That's
because
crazy.
If you think about it, it doesn't matter. Like, think about the fact that some people drink cow's milk. So if you can drink a cow's milk, your baby can get someone else's breast milk. Especially if it's a healthy individual.
Sure. I actually can see that. And if I had to choose between somebody else's breast milk and cow's milk or formula, I would go with the other person's
I would
breast
too.
milk, as long as I think that it's healthy. That's my whole thing.
They
So
do a whole screening, but yeah.
that's
And it's
interesting.
expensive.
I bet.
Yeah, it's expensive.
I bet. Okay, so you got to be in a certain income bracket to even afford that.
You know how that goes.
Right. But here are some things that you could do to help you to lactate. So I went back again, and like I said, I listened to Lily Nichols, and she talked about things you could do that can actually make you produce more milk. So one of the things she talked about is you need something called choline, and it helps you lactate. So here are some of the foods that she said you can eat that will help. One of them was egg yolks. Yeah, egg yolks, high in this vitamin. Also, organ meats like liver. The organ meats will give you lots of milk. And any type of, it's also omega-3 and DHA is important for the baby's brain development, and that comes from seafood. So eat a lot of seafood, eat your eggs, your organ meat. And then the last one, she said, you need vitamin D. We're back to vitamin D again. Boy, that vitamin D is probably got to, it should win the award this year. Because vitamin D, it looks like can do everything. Of course, again, for those of you who don't know, and if you go to our Facebook group, we talk about vitamin D a lot. It is not a vitamin. It is a hormone. And also, again, as Black women, we have a very difficult time getting that vitamin D through our melanin in our skin, so we don't get enough of it. So most of us have to supplement. And I don't care where you live. It's not coming through your melanin. So if you know how important vitamin... melanin. I'm sorry. Melanin. Right. Okay. Yeah, no, we can't get it through a watermelon. But, but we do want you to know that. So eating those foods also do another thing for newborn women that I'm hearing a lot of, and it's postpartum depression.
Yeah.
So if you eat these foods, it will help prevent it. So I understand that postpartum depression is on the rise.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I would assume so.
Yeah, they say it's on the rise. And it used to be a taboo subject. Nobody would talk about it because how could you be depressed and you just had a baby, right? But what they're finding, and a lot of that is coming from an unhealthy gut. We're back to the gut. Between the gut and vitamin D.
Yeah. It's like,
I mean,
listen, y'all, one thing you gonna know, take care of your gut and take your vitamin D. When it's all said and done from Brown Women Wellness,
you're gonna hear that a lot from us.
Yes, you are. But it's important.
But it's important because it does work. We're only telling this and we keep stressing these points because it does work. So, another thing is, we talked about this, a lot of women fear that they're not giving their baby enough milk. Now, I found something very interesting from this guy named T.J. Robinson. He's known as the olive oil hunter. Olive oil.
You have a knack for finding very quirky, nuanced, niched type people for this health industry.
It's called the law of attraction.
Talking about some olive oil hunter.
We talked about the laws of attraction in episode number 8, if anybody want to go back and listen to it. But yes, I do attract a lot of wellness experts. I do. But let me tell you
how do you hunt olive oil?
So let me tell you what he does. Well, first of all, that's a whole nother conversation, the olive oil industry. We know that most of the olive oil that's on the shelf is not real olive oil. So this guy goes out and he finds the best olives and he makes sure that it's fresh. That's what he does. That's why he calls himself the hunter. Okay. So I know, right? And you can order from him online. It's a big difference in the olive oil that comes from him versus the ones on the shelf. I actually ordered some so I could see for myself. It's a little, and it's very expensive, and it's in these little, and it's in these little bottles. So, I was like, oh my God, this is not going to work, but I want some real olive oil. So, but anyway.
Can I just say this real quick?
Yes.
And I don't want to go on a tangent or off subject, but kind of on subject. So with olive oil, real quick, so most people, I want everybody to know you shouldn't be frying or searing anything in olive oil, for real, for real.
That is correct. Now, the ones that are on the shelf, most of them have other oils in them. And so they are not 100% pure olive oil, but they'll say they are. But you're absolutely right, Keela. You're not supposed to fry with it. And that's because of the heat point, because when it gets too high, it turns into something.
It turns rancid and it turns acidic.
Yeah, it goes into your body like that. So, but basically, we're supposed to use olive oil on our salads, make salad dressing.
Finisher.
It's a finisher. Okay. I have another doctor that I follow. He actually believes that olive oil is the cure to cure all, and he says you should just take a tablespoon of olive oil every night before you go to bed. I mean,
well, you know what? He's not off base because, and I brought this up for a reason, real quick, is because in Europe, I went to culinary school. So in a former life, I went to culinary school, right? Graduated, worked in the kitchens, all of that. And I remember taking a French culinary cuisine course, and they were telling us olive oil, especially extra virgin olive oil, is only to be used in certain capacities. And I don't know when, how, or why. And it was probably the government just started advocating everybody to just use olive oil for everything. And I want us to step away from that because it's not really good for you because of the high heat point. But it also goes back to, if your next tip that you're about to say, Andretta, it goes right back into the diet of a mother and getting quality olive oil and how to use it.
Well, the way he's suggesting using it is going to blow your mind. It's to help nursing mothers relieve nipple soreness. Okay. And also it contains, if you put it in your diet, it contains such high levels in the breast milk of vitamin E, which is vital to the infant's brain. But the way he's saying it, instead of use these ointments, a lot of women use ointments. Because I remember when you had teeth, Keela, I needed ointments.
My God.
Okay,
that just you didn't have to bring that back up. You just didn't have to.
But instead of using lanolin and all those different ointments, you can actually use olive oil. And you don't even have to wipe it off before nursing. You can just get some olive oil, put it on your nipple, let the baby, it'll help you lactate. Yeah.
Also, another tip, this is super random, but on point. One day, my lips were so chafed. I forget why, but I just could not keep moisture to save my life. I didn't lip gloss, all of that jazz just wasn't working, right? I didn't have any coconut oil, but I had olive oil. This is how I know what you're saying is true. I got so desperate. I just put some olive oil around my lips, and that immediately changed the moisture barrier around my lips. It was insane. So if it works on my lips, I'm sure it works on the nip.
It would. Wait a minute. Did you just say that? If it works on the lip, it'll work on the nip. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that was good. Don't steal that.
So extra virgin olive oil has so many uses, but your mothers out there that are breastfeeding and you need a little relief, just put some in the baby. It'll help the baby too, because the baby get all that vitamin E. So anyway, we're going to take a break and hear from our sponsor before we go to our next question. Are you tired of being tired? Are you aching, have pain in unexplained places? At the root of all diseases like diabetes and high blood pressure and many more is chronic inflammation. There are 10 wild-crafted organic hand-picked herbs in the Be Well anti-inflammation tea that will help calm those flames. Go to brownwomenwellness.com and get 15% off by putting in the code WellHonest15.
All right, so we're back, and we're back with our next question. This next question is about a topic that seems to just be super hot, super frequent. It kind of concerns me how frequent it is amongst us Black women, and it's about fibroids. So the question is, why do Black women tend to suffer from more fibroids than other races? It seems like this is becoming a trend. Let's explore this. All right. So I will say this. On a personal note, I don't have fibroids.
Thank you, Jesus.
Okay, so if you want me to give my answer as to why, I would say it's a couple of different reasons. But
What is your
A lot of
what is
my
your take on it?
So, okay, so let's get personal and let's get a quick TMI. So, I have never in the history of having a cycle ever used tampons.
Mm.
I never. I remember when I first got my cycle when I was young, I attempted to, and it was an absolute complete fail. And I was just like, no. And I just never understood the concept of putting a plug up there and then you're just supposed to be, fancy foot free. It just never sat right with me personally. I've always used pads. And again, some people are like, oh my God, you're just sitting in your blood. Like, what is that? Well, I felt more secure in that. And you don't just sit in it. I change my pads pretty frequently. So for the longest time, I would use a particular brand. I won't name them, but a particular brand that everybody and their mom has used because they've been around since forever. And it wasn't until about 10 years ago that I started to switch to natural products, natural pads. And they have been a game changer. Like, it's not a game. The things that they put in the pads, and I'm convinced the things that they put in the tampons specifically are probably one of this is just a conspiracy theory. I have no scientific proof. I am not a doctor.
Actually, you're on to something. Go ahead.
But I'm pretty sure that the chemicals that are laced within those tampons, and when they expand, and then they market that you can have them sit up there for forever and all this and all of that. Not only is toxic shock a thing, but outside of that, because that's a very small, minute side effect, it's the chemicals. And I do believe that contributes to fibroids. I want to tell you this. A lot of my very close friends suffer from fibroids.
A lot of women do. Yeah.
I'm talking like just had surgery, are about to get surgery, thinking about it, or they don't even know that they have it, but they know that something's going on because it's painful down there. Like, it's a thing. And if I think about all the things that we do down there outside of sexual activity, because it has nothing to do with a fibroid, if you get your cycle, you're going to be using either a tampon or a pad.
Well, let me tell you, let's talk about fibroids for a second, what they really are. So they are non-cancerous growths. Okay. Most of them, they're never cancerous. Okay. In fact, I remember meeting a lady a few years ago that looked like she was 8 months pregnant. But she was older. So I knew I was like, wow, she's having a baby at 50. I was like,
I hope you didn't say anything to this lady.
I didn't, but looking at her, you just wondered about it. So one day she used to come into our shop when we had About Your Face. You remember we used to have a lot of women coming there all the time. And she shared with me one day that she was not pregnant at all. She had fibroids. The fibroid was so big that it made her look, her stomach was just protruding. And she was scared to have surgery because she was at that stage. But she told me she shared with me that she'd had those fibroids since she was a teenager and that they continue to grow. So what happens with fibroids are, even though they are non-cancerous, they can grow. And there are certain things that make them grow, really grow. So go ahead.
They're made up of muscle and a fibrous tissue. So if you think about a muscle, it expands if you build on it. And that is why these fibroids end up looking like golf balls and mini watermelons in people's stomachs. It's not in your stomach, but it's sitting right there on your uterus because they grow. Go ahead, sorry.
And they do grow. And so they get to the point where sometimes they're in the way of some of your organs. And that's when women usually run and have to have surgery. They also cause fertility problems in a lot of women as well. And, so your hormones can stimulate the development of the uterine lining during your menstrual cycle in preparation for pregnancy. And that appears to kind of promote the growth of fibroids. So fibroids contain more estrogen and progesterone receptors. So it's a hormone issue. Bottom line, it's a hormone issue. Okay. And so what do you need to do? I mean, because usually fibroids are related to estrogen dominance. And this goes back to what you talked about, Keila. In the estrogen, but people don't realize dominance, it's in everything right now. Estrogen is in plastic. So estrogen is in those pads that you're talking about. they
Mm-hmm.
contain levels of estrogen. So you think about some of the things that you're doing to your body, like using the pads and the tampons. Those things are promoting more estrogen, which is definitely it becomes a dominance.
And a lot of women, they say, because I have some friends that will say this too, like, oh, well, I don't even get my period often. So it's not like, it's a consistent thing. But the reason why you're not getting your period. So my OB has always stressed to me. And so I've had a regular period my entire life. If I am not on time, this is me personally, if I am not on time, I'm either pregnant or there is something wrong. That's just how regular I am to the T, right? A lot of women can't say that. And a lot of times that goes back to a hormonal issue. And most women who don't have regular period, if it's not from you taking birth control, it's probably an underlying fibroid or some type of hormonal issue down there. And it doesn't matter, because if it's not a pad and it's not a tampon, it's the food. Like you said, Andretta, plastic has estrogen. So this food
estrogen
that
is
they're making in these labs have estrogen. And
GMOs,
women, they tell you, oh my God, you want estrogen, but you can have too much estrogen, just like you can have too much testosterone.
Yes.
You can have too much of a hormone, and that's not good.
Well, I went to the expert, Dr. Michael Grieger. We'll put his information. He specializes in this. And one of the things that he talked about was you definitely need to change your diet. If you are fibrous, you need to go to antioxidant-rich foods. And you're going to find it mostly in your plant-based diet. I'm sorry, fried chicken eaters and all those people out there. You're going to need more plants in your diet, more plant-based diet to help you get rid of this. And then he also offered turmeric. I know you guys have heard about turmeric. Okay. Turmeric is supposed to help a great deal. So you may want to include turmeric in your supplements or put some on your food, or, you find turmeric everywhere now. I remember when turmeric first came out, nobody knew what it was. We can hardly say
I remember that too, actually.
Yeah, but now it's like it's a superfood. So find you some turmeric. This is supposed to help. But here was the one that was surprising. He talked about drinking green tea. He said they have evidence that it actually will decrease the fibroids. Okay. Yeah. Drink it. You got to drink green tea every day. So,
So are we talking prevention, or are we talking about if you have fibroids already?
Well, both. He says that if you have it already, it's going to decrease it. But if you need to prevent it, you should still drink green tea every day. Okay, for those people usually who are going to be fibroids, they already know. They already know. I don't think you just all of a sudden. Although I'm going to tell you the truth, I know someone personally that got fibroids at the age of 50-something years old, and but it was caused by stress.
Oh,
yes. It was brought on by stress.
And let me tell y'all, that stress, when they say stress kills, it's a slow killer. For stress to cause fibroids?
Yeah, it did. And
that's insane.
In fact, I remember she had to go to the hospital and get it removed. And guess what it did? It threw her into instant menopause. Yep. Which comes with a whole nother set of problems. And that's going to be a whole nother subject that we can have a whole nother. In fact, there's a couple of women in our group. They always asking, what can we do? We're hot. But anyway, I'm laughing. Oh yeah, I understand. Been there, done that. So, anyway, but yeah, he talked about that. So I have a green tea that I drink every day. Because green tea is good for so many things. It's not just good for decreasing fibroids, but it's good for so many things. They've even said that if you drink green tea, it will help you. It'll cut down on you being the ability to get cancer. Okay, that's how powerful green tea is. Green tea is something else. So I drink this one though that I just love, because not all green teas, like everything else, is equal. You want a green tea that's got, that's clean. Like everything else out there, you can find green tea and it'll have all kinds of stuff on it. But I like this one by Pique. Pique, tea crystals. They're crystals. They're real clean. And you can just pour it into cold or hot hot water, and you'll have your green tea.
I like pink.
I love Peak. We'll put the link to them down below because I drink me a cup of that every day.
Yeah, I like pink a lot.
And I don't have no fibroids. I just like green tea. But
I'm not the biggest fan of green tea, but I like
a lot of people don't like green tea. But if you know what green tea do for you, you'll visualize green tea being your coffee. Okay?
True.
Okay.
Well, the Chinese specifically drink a lot of herbal teas, and they also drink a lot of green tea. And not just the Chinese, Vietnamese, a lot of them drink tea, green tea for years because they already knew what we're just now finding out, that green tea is like a fountain of youth.
That's right. It does. And I'm going to tell you something else he mentioned too, this Dr. Greger. He said animal protein. So let's take it. We're going to have meat. Meat eaters are going to eat meat. That's the bottom line. Okay.
Period.
But he said, usually people who have fibroids they have iron deficiency. And that makes sense, right? I mean, you got fibroids, you're bleeding more, you're not going to have as much iron in your body. But what he said was, if you're going to have meat, which he says is okay to have meat, it's the quality of the meat.
Mm-hmm.
He said, because what you're doing is, if you get just any animal protein, it actually can feed the fibroid. Mm-hmm. But if you get a quality meat that's been consumed with, they're grass-fed organic, he said, if you got fibroids, you may want to switch right away, make that switch, because it will make a whole difference in when fibroids come, how they come. Okay.
This is absolutely correct. I have a friend who suffers from fibroids, and her doctor told her, you've got to stop eating chicken for a while. Because it's literally feeding your fibroids. Mm-hmm. And she was flabbergasted, like, what? And so she did. She stopped, and they decreased significantly. I don't know the time frame, but she got the word after some time, like, oh my, what were you doing? Did you stop? And she was like, yeah, I stopped. And they shrunk.
Wow. So we know now that the animals, if you got fibroids, you just got to be 80% plant-based. I'm not saying you can't eat meat, but if you do eat meat, eat quality meat according to this doctor.
If you're trying to, and I want to segue into this too. If you need help with a plant-based fibroid kind of elimination type of situation. So there's a chef that I've been following for years, actually me and my mom. I think I put you on to her.
Yes.
But Chef Aki is based out of Atlanta.
Yes.
And she is a plant-based chef. She's more than just a chef, but she that is a part of her repertoire. She has what's called the Fibroid Elimination Recipe Guide. It's an ebook. Okay. And she's giving you all of these recipes to help you eliminate your fibroids holistically without having to go through surgery. Okay. It is a phenomenal ebook. She gives you recipes. She gives you the food list, and it's a fail-proof method. So if you have fibroids right now and you know that you need to do something about it and you're scared about surgery, give it your best to go a holistic, natural route to eliminate them. People have done it and it's been successful, so you can do it. But again, like we talked about in the previous episode, it's about the mindset shift. So just shift your mind now and you can get rid of them. And the book is only $20. So we'll have the link to her book in the show notes below for this episode, but try it that way.
Oh, that's very good. Akila, do you remember when we flew to Atlanta to take one of Chef Aki's class?
I remember that.
Will you spell her name for them so they'll see how to spell it?
So Chef Aki, chef, and then her name is AHKI.
Yes. I actually enjoyed that cooking class.
We did. We took a cooking class, and it was good.
It was good. And what she's saying to you is that you can eat very well plant-based. We always tell you that we don't advocate any particular style of eating, but if you have a health concern and you need to change your style of eating for your health concern, then we are definitely for that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I mean,
so you really need to check her out, Keela. That was a good tip.
And we're not getting sponsored or getting paid by this. I just happened to remember that she had this. And what I like about it is that it's only for fibroids. So it's a very strict, low to no starch, non-hybrid estrogen and aromatase-free e-guide.
And here's another thing I want you all to one last thing I'm going to leave you with about fibroids. This is caused by inflammation. Okay. Inflammation in the body, chronic inflammation. We stress and talk about, I think other than vitamin D and, we talk
so
a lot.
Tired of hearing us talk about vitamin D.
I know, right? We talk, but the other thing you hear us talk about a lot is inflammation, which is why we created our anti-inflammation tea.
Exactly.
And if you have not tried the Be Well anti-inflammation tea, I urge you. We put 10 herbs in there, 10. And we didn't just put any 10 herbs in there. We took our time. We actually make that tea is handcrafted right in our own kitchens.
So real quick, the herbs that we put in this tea so that you guys can understand there's a method to everything that we do specifically for brown women. We put holy basil leaf, we put cat's claw, celery seed, cinnamon chips, English lavender flowers, garlic cloves, ginger root, hawthorn leaf, turmeric, like we talked about just previously, and flaxseed. If you go to our website, each herb, we tell you exactly what it does. But outside of our website, if you just Google those herbs and put in the benefits, so Google holy basil leaf benefits, it'll start to blow your mind what all these things do. Then add it into like a tea form and you have a recipe for success. I would strongly encourage you guys who suffer from any type of inflammation disease in the body, especially fibroids, to purchase that tea. And you have to be consistent with it. You can't drink one cup and think your fibroids are just going to go away. That's not how it works. It needs to be a part of your routine.
Absolutely.
Just like anything else.
Absolutely. I listen, I personally drink a cup a day. You should drink it and have a cup a day, to calm down those flames in your body. And it'll make a huge difference not just on a lot of levels, really. So you can find that, by the way, on our website, brownwomenwellness.com, if you are interested in, getting more information about those herbs and the tea. Okay, let's hear a word from our sponsor. We're going to come back and talk about what we're loving this week, and we're going to wrap it up. Feeling stressed? Need to calm your anxiety naturally? Be Well CBD tea can do just that. Hand-picked organic herbs infused with CBD will relax you and calm those nerves. Go to brownwomenwellness.com and get your 15% off. Use this code WellHonest15. Okay, well, we're back, and we're going to wrap this up. Akil, I want to ask you what you're loving this week. What are you loving?
So what I'm loving this week is my plants.
Oh.
So one of the things that I did, my mom, me and her, what we did together is I was very adamant about getting my plant babies right away. And I stalled a little bit because I'm like, well, I don't know. And she was like, girl, just come on and get these plants. So we went over to Home Depot, and I have to say, I have I'm looking at them, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 plant babies and they are thriving. And initially I thought that I was going to put these plants into my house, in my apartment. But they've been thriving on the patio. And I remember, Andretta, you said to me like, well, as soon as you move them, they're probably going to be like, what is this? And start to die off in the apartment.
I'm glad to hear that they're thriving.
They're thriving. And it's been raining here a lot too, off and on. So they've been getting a lot of moisture. So my one plant that I love is my snake plant. That plant, if you look up the benefits of snake plants, helps me sleep like clockwork. And I have it right here next to my bed. Amazing plant. But I'll take care of them. They have names, honey. I speak to them because they're a living thing. All right. So if you don't have plants and you think that you always kill off your plants, just start slow, but get yourself some plants because it really does raise the vibrations of you and your place.
Well, speaking of plants, we have a guest coming up telling you how to grow your own garden very soon. So we'll talk more about that. That's going to be interesting.
What are you loving, Andretta?
Oh, what am I loving this week? Oh my God. Okay. So I am listening to a Audible book that keeps me really, really hyped. Actually, I'm listening to more than one book, but I go back and forth between these books. But I went back to my old library and I pulled back out The Game of Life. And I talked about this on another episode, but I went back through an old episode and started listening to The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. I talked about this before, and it's a small book. It takes you about a good hour to read it and listen to it. And it just pumps me up because it's hard to believe the book was written in 1925, but nothing has changed. She talks about the power of manifestation. She talks about the power of gratitude. She talks about the power of affirmations. And if you're not doing affirmations, I urge you to start because affirmations are extremely powerful. You just have to make sure you're saying them not in a negative way, but in a positive way. It's how you say your affirmation. So, I love her, and I'm going to always love her. I'll always have this book near me forever, the rest of my life. So that's what I'm loving this week.
I love that. Speaking of affirmations, when you say your affirmations, the quickest way to affirm yourself and affirm what you're trying to affirm is to speak in I am statements.
Absolutely.
Because it's about you. So I am wealthy. I am loved. I am worthy. I will have XYZ. That's just a little tip.
And at this stage on that note, we'll say we are done.
We will talk to you guys next week.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Well Honestly, the podcast. If you want to know more about us and our products, check us out over on our website at brownwomenwellness.com. And remember, ladies, we are not doctors, and any information shared by us is not medical advice. Always follow your doctor's advice.
And don't forget to rate and review our podcast and let us know what you loved about this week's episode. And please subscribe to wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Feel free to email us and let us know what you would like to hear more of from us. Don't be afraid to say hi. We'll say hi right back to you.
Don't forget to find us across all social platforms at Brown Women Wellness. As always, show notes with links to what we talked about today in this week's episode will be in the description box below. Thanks for listening.